Hi, everyone. This is Livia Caudell, your host for the Conscious Wealth Builders Online Summit, and I am here with Nick Coe. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Livia? Good to see you.
You too. It's so great to see you again. Met at the Sang reunion that Larry Benet did what was that, like a month ago or something?
That was probably one of the most epic masterminds I've been a part of. And it's really cool to see so many people from that event actually a part of your program and your webinar. So many of my friends like Adam Farfin and Bill Walsh and so many other people. It's pretty cool. Like Larry is just an amazing guy and everyone he surrounds himself is amazing. And it sounds like you got a lot of the same characters in your network and your mastermind as well. And
Yeah.
I always say the power of having a great mentor and having people surrounding yourself with cool and innovative ideas all the time is probably the best way to get success.
Yeah.
And so I saw that lineup and I was like, well, I'd love to be a part of this. This is awesome.
I know. It's so
Yeah.
great to have you. And as we've gotten, to get to know one another the last, few weeks here, just your energy is so awesome. I just love your beingness because you really are a conscious entrepreneur. You're all about other people, servant oriented, you're positive, you're just awesome. So thanks for being a part of this.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I totally got jive with that for what you're talking about. I was
Yeah.
watching your intro video about what you're trying to do, trying to take a situation where companies are adding more value to people's lives. And from our conversations, you're really doing that. And I think it's really cool.
Thank you.
One of the things that we've always tried to develop in order to build real social dynamics, we're now the world's largest dating coaching company, but we spend no money in advertising. It's almost all word of mouth. And solely because we
Wow.
give so much value to other people. So one of the things that we try to do is develop every single day at least an hour worth of free video content among our
Yeah.
16 YouTube channels. So among our 16 channels, we have about 1 million subscribers, and we just develop as much
Incredible.
quality content as we can. So in terms of like marketing, whereas some people will spend money on advertising, we literally spend about $10,000 a week just buying AV gear, seeing people around the world, different cities, and interviewing successful, like-minded business leaders
Yeah.
or people in our world is like dating, health and fitness gurus who are just adding value to people's lives and then
Yeah.
sharing their stories of transformation. Um, I think
Incredible.
a lot of the other things that is really interesting or could be value to your group is that one of the things that I think that a lot of people who are entrepreneurs or business leaders or business owners would love to do is develop that sense of community. So one
Mm.
of my advisors is a guy named Tony Shea, he created Zappos.com. He has this thing called ROC, which is the concept not in terms of return on investment, but return on collisions. Or recently they rebranded that as a term of return on community. And so the idea
Wow.
that he used to do is, well, he has this thing called Downtown Project. What I used to do is I used to bring about 50, 60 entrepreneurs down to downtown Las Vegas. It's actually one of the reasons why I moved to Las Vegas from Cambridge after, my wife graduated from Harvard. And basically what we did is we developed a community of guys who were entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
basically just a community of really amazing entrepreneurs, people that might have been really successful in business in general. We had guys like John Ozeroff show up from The Secrets and
Yeah.
leaders of tech companies, main investors in Twitter, VCs. And we just had them share ideas, kind of like TED. Now, we were charging money for this or anything.
Mm-hmm.
The concept and idea, though, was that we were, as a mastermind, as a top level leadership, just trying to add as much value to each other's lives in general.
Yeah.
That Tony Shea himself hosted it in his living room, and he now lives in a trailer park, which is like a really down to earth kind of environment now.
Yeah.
But just having environments like this, just any kind of environment or space where you just have people share ideas and
Yeah.
have brainstorming, I think that's the great way to get the leadership, the ideas, the innovation that you need to build your team. And then transforming those ideas into your customer base has been like another focus that we've always had. So what we've done is we've taken the same concept that we do on, say, advisory board level. So on my advisory board level, we'll rent like a mansion every 6 months and we'll have a place where we meet. Or basically we'll have everyone meet in the mansion we have in Los Angeles or my house in Las Vegas. And we'll just share ideas. I'm not trying to do this in more exotic locations, but I do this just for fun.
Yeah.
And I think that the concept of developing a mastermind is so important. I mean, earlier
It
we
is.
were rapping to each other. You're doing your vanilla ice yogurt rap, and I've been developing now rap that I'm going to turn into music videos on business education.
I
And a
love
lot of
it.
the rap that I'm doing is about how to build a network and mastermind group that can influence you. And then you as a business person. I mean, most of the people that I've been surrounding myself with are in the information business. Surrounding yourselves and surrounding your customers with people that could inspire them, I think, is of huge value. And even those people who have, say, tech companies like Tony, for example. he had his mastermind group. Even like 12 years ago, we used to hang out at his office, and it was a much smaller company. Back in the day, his company was the same size as my company, and we're a much smaller company than his company now, which is now doing over $1 billion a year in sales. It's amazing. But like back then, we would just mastermind and hang out at his office. I'd bring my team, meet as his board team. We'd all just share ideas. I thought it was really cool. And then what he used to do is also just his customers, his random customers would just come in, and they would just contact the office. Hey, I'd love to see what you guys are up to. This is before there was like an official tour. And then he would share his entire business mastermind to share about what they're doing, right and wrong, just to share ideas with their customers and share ideas about how to improve the product. And then now he's putting that out there through Exapolis University. We do the same kind of thing through our educational courses. And I've been doing that more as a passion project as well. So one of the things I've been doing is since 2002 as we built this company, like how to meet girls, how to pick up girls, and education, self-improvement, self-actualization, identity level change. And we've been doing this in 270 cities and 70 countries, over 1,000 programs a year.
Is it just for men or is it for women too?
Oh, it's just for men right now. But you know what?
Okay, no, that's okay. Listen, that's a big enough job. Okay.
We've only taught what we're able to teach myself. And I'm not a woman, so I don't feel like I'm justified in teaching women. My wife, she tried to create a company that was about teaching women on how to do the exact same thing, how to get that identity level change and success. And she has a series of videos that's out there on the internet. Amazing. That is awesome. But now she's mostly focused on business, real estate, video production, and what have you. And I think it's awesome because her lifestyle in terms of awesome video editing and production and helping corporate clients is what inspired us to upgrade our video gear, because I believe the future is in infotainment, not just the education, but training people and captivating them in new ways. So we're investing in all sorts of crazy cameras like the Red Epics, or we have like almost 100 cinema cameras, including those A7Ss, C100, all different kinds of cameras you could see out there. Yeah. And we send them into teams of half dozen to a dozen people that travel around the world with different instructors, and they meet with their students. They share ideas and stories. Yeah. I mean, so much of this is about that concept of infotainment and education.
I'm so with you. I'm so with you. Yeah, that's great. That's so awesome.
And you've been involved so deeply in the seminar world yourself. So you've learned how to quickly develop partnerships and relationships and joint venture partnerships and make people work together successfully. And that's one of the things that we've been focusing on so much, and actually teaching that. So I've been focused so much on building my own company that I haven't been involved with teaching. I mean, we'd hired a team of amazing guys, way better than me at just teaching that nuances of dating and relationships. I'm in a happy marriage, but most of my focus now has been focused on business. So I've been recently doing is I developed a YouTube channel, like a Nick Coe official YouTube channel, just teaching the lessons that I learned in business and interviewing, just like how you're doing interviews yourself. And one of the things I think that is like the common principle behind everyone is this concept of offering value to the world. I mean, I did my favorite interview was actually with Larry Benet. It was the most fun interview I ever did. And it was about how he's able to successfully network. I think he's like one of the 3 most connected people I've ever met in my entire life.
Unbelievable.
I've met a lot of people. I think I spent well over $1 million in 5 years just going to mastermind groups, just paying for these groups and going to them. And every week for that time, I was traveling at least once or twice a week, just going to every kind of mastermind you could go to, whether it's in digital marketing or through the EOYPO network or what have you. Yeah. But I think that concept was such an inspiration for me that I want to teach some of these concepts and how to build a better network, how to build a better business, how to get the success mindsets and develop the relationships that you want to have. And I think that so much of that has to do with that concept of being that better person, better woman, better man. I jokingly am releasing a video today on my YouTube channel in about an hour that's called Why I'm Rich and Better Than You. And the concept of it is not what people would think just from judging on the title. It's just to get quick on it.
I love it.
But the concept is that when you're interacting with other people, coming from the mindset, no matter who you're interacting with, not whether they can offer value to you. Mm-hmm. I mean, I met a guy who came to one of my mastermind groups. We rented these series of mini castles, and we called the event Savvy. And one of these guys, he was known for developing these massive multinational networks, sales networks. And I asked him, so what are you looking for when you go to these networking groups? And he's like, well, I'm trying to find those people in the room that could really help me the most. And I was thinking, you know what, that's not really what I'm about. It kind of turned me off from wanting to interact with him in general.
Yeah.
I found that you could get much broader, more powerful network just coming from the mindset that regardless of who you're interacting with, you're there to offer value to everyone else first and foremost, and trying to captivate. Try to find out how you could share your passion, how your passions and goals unite, but try to do that with everyone. I mean, if you look at, say, like the average person, I was hanging out with Harvey McKay at lunch during saying, and he was telling me, and it was also really interesting because I was also as a financial advisor. So for my friends, he developed this course. They're at Morgan Stanley in Beverly Hills. He developed this course, and one of the principles that's taught in the course, the main principles it's taught, is what a network actually is to a normal person. So, I mean, we're all normal people here, but I mean, if you look at people like presidents of countries, they develop networks in a very different way. But if you look at like the normal person, the average person probably knows 200 people that can tell their autobiography or story very, very well. And I talk about this more in detail in terms of like the tree principle, how you grow a tree into a network. But I mean, if you look at, say, there's 200 people, if you don't look at the skill sets you need to develop like social media, if you discount like the power of LinkedIn and Facebook and your reach and your customer base, you know, I can send an email to 500,000 people. But if I just look at the people who actually know me for me as opposed to me as a business owner, it's about 200 people. But each of those 200 people probably know about 200 people. So just through like just a couple of degrees of separation, you know about 40,000 people. So whether it's your maid or whether it's your cook who's just cooking you food at McDonald's, everyone has value to share. So it's always come from that principle. I mean, I have my vocal coach. My vocal coach is one of the most epic vocal coaches trained at Eminem.
Roger Love?
Yeah, Roger Love.
I love Roger.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I just did an interview with him for my channel too.
Yeah,
but I actually found out about him because my chef was also Christina Aguilera's chef.
Wow.
He does breakfast at my LA house for my staff and my team and
Amazing.
my partners and sponsors, and does it like every day. But I was like, who's Christina Aguilera's vocal coach? Go to Roger Love. And through that introduction, I was able to have him. But who would know? Like just my chef or like my maid. My maid was introducing me to people that help me out with IT people. You know, it's amazing. Like, so you never know who's going to help you. Now, of course, when you're on an average going to mastermind groups and you're spending so much time with these mastermind groups, now a lot of these people that you're getting introduced to are these people on average. Like that's why my Rolodex is so massive. You know, and so people are always wondering, how do you build that network? Well, I built it from scratch by attending other people's mastermind groups, but also through our cold approach. So a lot of people don't cold approach. They'll just walk into, like, say, a convention center or a real estate convention if you're in real estate, or say you're a real estate agent. You have a network of real estate. You might hang out with your other agents and form this crystal. And this crystal kind of just hangs out with each other, but you don't necessarily, like, spread out and talk to everyone else.
Yeah.
One of the things we recently did is we went undercover into a real estate organization and acted not as like dating wingmen like we do in bars and clubs, but wingmen for this agency of real estate agents, and walked up to them with other people, to presidents of other real estate agencies, and just built rapport, invited them to have lunch, developed that Rolodex to like just get the practice of having that conversational desire and rapport to seek it out with other people, all kinds of people, develop a fun connection, not just a business connection of interest, but a relationship, because people will do business with relationships, not with just like power. It's not like you see like in House of Cards where people are just trying to use positional leadership or positional power. It's about developing those bonds and trust. Because I think that John Maxwell, he wrote a book. You know, it was probably one of the books behind me. It was about positional leadership and all kinds of leadership. The weakest form of leadership is the boss trying to put relationship power by saying, I'm the boss, so follow my instructions.
Yeah.
We always tried to create this kind of more flat structure in my company, more like, say, a fraternity, not in the sense that we have a frat house wherever it's like crazy when there's parties and sororities, but how we treat these relationships, because this is how we wanted to interact with the world, interact with our customer base even.
Yeah. You know what I'm present to though, Nick, too, as well? Like for me, I've reached out to a lot of people who have conscious companies to participate in this online summit without having met them before. And they were just a giant yes because of what it stands for. So relationship and also your purpose of what drives your organization, your company, it really tells about your entity, the personality of who you are. I think
so. I think that everyone also just wants to connect with other people. I mean, I wanted to get involved just because I wanted a way where we could just connect with more people out there and just be a part of that. I mean, one of the things that I really like to do is get to know people on a more down-to-earth scale. So one of the things I did was in 2008. You know, we had 500,000 people on our email list, and it's been about the same from then to now. We've had peaks and valleys, but I sent an email out to the whole list, and I said, you know, one of the things I wanted to do was I want to get to know the customer. So I sent out an email and said, hey, I'm going to travel around the world to 270 cities in 70 countries in 6 months. 1 to 3 times a day, I'm going to do a different seminar. It's going to be completely for free. In order to make this happen, I need to know people that could either give me a ride from the airport or a couch or a bed or some place to crash. And I
Wow.
got a response in 24 hours from almost 1,000 people. I
Holy moly.
responded to all of them. And I just said yes to everyone. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't want to see a picture of where it was or who they were or anything. Just wanted to get to know these people. I made some videos of it, but
You
most of the time I
are
just
so
connected with people.
awesome. You know, the thing about you, though, I've got to point to this because this is so important. You are courageous. Like, you are so, like, you occur for me as someone who's just courageous, fearless. You're just fully self-expressed. You're alive, you know,
Thank
and,
you.
and, you know, that's what it takes to really be extraordinary, is that.
Yeah. Well, I loved the idea of doing awesome adventure when I was young. So I've always had this adventure explorer mentality.
Yeah, I
And I
see
think
that.
that's also why I'm really risk adverse. I think I'm the entrepreneur who's willing to sacrifice and risk it all any day of the week. I think most people should not even try to be entrepreneurs. They should be entrepreneurial. Like, I was in my MBA program at USC, and one of the guys who came to our class was the president of Home Depot. And he said he wants every single person in his company, not necessarily be an entrepreneur, they're employees. It's not like he has a franchise, but they're entrepreneurial in terms of defining that as being creative, thinking outside the box, believing that anything is possible. And if there's not, trying to find those solutions. And that's the mindset that I want to convey to anyone, because I think it's going to help your business career no matter who you are. Because some of the people I'm watching this probably are not entrepreneurs. They're trying to get success, career, money, life, and all of that handled, but they want to get that success in as well. I mean, one of the things I didn't want to teach, I want to just teach everyone to become an entrepreneur, because I believe that everyone should be able to, I mean, some entrepreneurs are really like self-employed people. It's like what Michael Gerber says. He says that there's like the manager, there's the dreamer, there's all these different kinds of roles and responsibilities, and everyone has their place. And most people who think they're entrepreneurs are actually just self-employed people who are doing their job, and they're doing great value in the world, but they're very entrepreneurial in terms of thinking.
Yeah.
I think most of the world needs to think like that. I mean, you're talking about trying to help the world. So if you look at certain undeveloped countries, like in Africa, for example, a lot of these people are just creating jobs from scratch. They each be their own business owner, but they're really just trying to be more innovative as opposed to being stuck in the box in the typical role and being cogs in the wheel.
Right.
At the same time, every successful machine needs to have really powerful cogs. So if you're going to be in that powerful system,
Yeah.
you don't want to deal with the risk of sacrifice and losing everything, then just being the best you can, I think, is the best way. So, I mean, I think your whole purpose is trying to teach people how to be that best version of who they are, but doing it in a way where they never forget that their job, first and foremost, is to try to offer as much value as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, when we created this company, my role wasn't to create a company. I was just trying to figure out a way where I could do something that I was passionate about and then fund it and self-fund it. So my goal back then, I was in my 20s, just straight out of college, was to build this amazing lifestyle in Los Angeles. Get the skill sets to go out to the bars and clubs, meet girls, and party and develop awesome parties. And I was amazing at throwing parties. Since I was 12 years old, I had this desire to get into that lifestyle. I mean, I think that when I was 12 years old, the first thing I did was I was going to a local college campus, because my dad, he was a professor at the time. He ended up becoming the president of a large company later on, but he was a computer science professor. And I had to learn how to take classes on computer science and get an A. And if I didn't, I'd have to retake the midterm and exam.
Yeah.
And this is at 12.
Yeah.
But after I'm done with the classes, across the street from the university was a bar, this local nightclub. So I went to the bar as a 12-year-old, and I said, I'd like to talk to the owner or manager of the bar. And he said, what do you want, kid? I said, well, I want to hang out at this bar, but you have bands, all sorts of cool bands like Bush and Deftones and Korn and all these bands. I'd love to meet these people, but I don't have any money. I'm only 12. I can't work. What I can do is I can pass out flyers for you. I can also take newspapers or flyers, create them, and tell people about your clubs and take it to all back then there's Tower Records. So I would take my bike, go to Tower Records, and pass them out to people there at this record store, or give them bundles. I would go from record store to record store, passing them out, or I'd go on the streets, passing them out downtown. In exchange, I'd go backstage, hang out with the rock bands. Eventually, I got to the standpoint where I had
Awesome.
an ID that said I was over 21, a fake ID. And I would rent out bars and clubs in New York City. I went to a boarding school in New York City.
Yeah.
So by the time I was in college, I had so much experience renting out bars, holding parties. I was able to have amazing parties, but I didn't know how to, network. I wasn't coming from the mindset of just offering value to build relationships. I knew I could get that to hook people into giving me jobs. Now, every single summer I had a job, whether it was working for the governor's office or a senator or a financial firm like Payne Weber. But I didn't know how to develop those relationships and connections.
Yeah.
Other than using parties to get people interested in the parties, but they weren't interested in me for me, they're interested in me for the parties.
Mm-hmm.
So I got obsessed with learning how to develop relationships in terms of dating because I wanted to develop those relationships that also all apply, not just for the dating world, but for your social or personal life in general and to your
Yeah.
business life. And that's why we created the company calling it Real Social Dynamics as opposed to like dating dynamics,
Yeah.
that process of changing that. Because I believe that originally I think I was more introverted than extroverted.
Wow.
But I developed these skill sets and they forced me to be more extroverted. I think a lot of people will hit me for that because they'll look at me and they'll say, you're so gregarious, you're so talkative. But I grew up in a household where I wasn't doing like sleepovers all the time. I didn't have friends that were hanging out. I'd go to get involved with sports activities and Boy Scouts, but I wasn't always like reaching out or inviting people. I didn't have an active dating life, at least until I was like an adult. It was amazing. So I had to change all those skill sets and develop that. And that concept of being able to do that, to walk up and cold approach, is two things. One, something that I think that you like, it's a concept that you basically are having no fear. Basically, we developed something called fear technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's a concept that you view every single rejection as a social experiment, like a scientist. You mix two chemicals together, if it explodes, you're like, okay, it led to an explosion. You mix two other chemicals together, maybe it creates like an orb, and it lights up. And you're like, okay, it creates an orb. So every social action is viewed like that. So when you now view it from that point, you have no fear of rejection. So basically the concept, as we were talking about earlier, concept of not being dependent on the outcome. The concept that everything is adding value. Now it's adding value to your life because you're getting those reference experiences that you look back on. Now you know what works, what happens. Mm-hmm. And then also from these processes of cold approach, because I think most people is not doing cold walk-ups. They don't like doing cold calls. They don't like walking with people in a bar. They go to a mastermind group. They might just hang out with the person they came with.
Yeah.
Because the fear of rejection, or also not viewing that they have value to offer to other people. It's like what you were saying earlier also. People are just wanting to get involved not knowing who you are, because I think that people, especially people of power and influence, they want the idea that they could help add value to other people's life more than anything else because they've already got success.
Yeah.
And I think that me just reaching out to people and interviewing them or just inviting them out to dinner, that's something that I found from a very, very early age. I'd go into Yellow Pages and I'd look up who is like the managing partner. And people back then used to have their phone numbers public. Who's the managing partner of Goldman Sachs?
Yeah.
It's large investment bank. And I was calling them on the phone. They'd
so
give me like a half hour of their time, just hang out.
That's awesome.
I would do this, like, who's the CEO of this this other organization? I would just do that. This is what I was doing this as a kid.
Yeah.
But now, like, people reach out to me. They'll send me an email and they'll say, hey, I heard that you're going to this yacht party. I'd love to get involved with that. And I said, okay, cool, come with me. I don't even know who you are, but just give me a ride from the airport.
I love it so much. You remind me of Mike from China. He has a very similar, he's always just like, family, you're my bro, and that's what it's about. It's about creating that family mentality. It's like, just because you're a quote unquote someone I don't know or what we call a stranger, not treating people like they're strangers, treating them like they're family. And that's what the conscious capitalism movement is really, about. This whole movement is about treating people like their family, treating your customers like family, treating your employees like family, treating people like they're human beings, not toys and puppets and, these, workforce, really treating people with love and kindness. And it's like so simple for like people like you and I to get. And yet there's a huge breakdown in the world around this because
well, it's the difference between being a company and developing a tribe that has a movement behind it. And if you want to have that movement where it's basically what you're calling that higher purpose or higher self, that's that concept that you got to have something that's a bigger vision. And I think the other thing that people also like about is that when you have a value in your service or product, you're able to motivate everyone to that this is an awesome thing. So, one of the concepts I think that a lot of people will talk to me about is they'll have friends, families, coworkers that just aren't motivated. They don't have that passion. So people are like, how do you motivate them? Well, the biggest way to do that with most impact is just to be able to do that by doing it yourself. Yeah. And then when you have other people that are watching you, if you want to lead people, you got to do it yourself. If you want to be the CEO of a company that has a large number of people following you, like if we have a situation like our company, like 100, 200 people that just work together in teams, and many of them are working remotely. They don't know you, but if they've seen you and they know you, like one of the things I'm trying to do out there is get people to know how I spend my time. Because if you want people to actually follow your leadership, even in a company, and I consider a company as a company when you have a significant team behind you.
Yeah.
But if you need to have if you want to develop a team or have that team follow you, you won't do that unless you yourself have done it yourself, or you follow that path, or done that work ethic. So one of the things I was doing when I was on that world tour I was talking about earlier is I know my team, they work hard. They were saying, oh, I have to go to the gym. I don't know if I can travel so much. If I travel so much, I want to have like gyms. Or they'll say, I won't know how to develop my social life. So one of the things I did is every single month I would do a marathon. I would do a triathlon. I even did the Ironman. And I would do this once a month. I would do a different race. I would say, look, I'm doing that while I'm managing the company. I'm doing the seminar tour that you're doing, but I'm doing it every day. And I'm building relationships and having a social life. I spend a few hours every day going out and trying to find the cool aspects of each of these cities. I'm making videos about it. I'm sharing it. You can do the same thing. Now our company has a core team, close to a dozen people that travel around and do this. Now they don't do it like every day where they travel every day, but they're making videos every week. They're building relationships. And they're doing this, but they're not going to follow you and do these crazy out-of-the-box ways of life. I mean, we have the largest number of live programs you could have in any seminar company. I mean, if you look at over 1,000 live events a year, we're teaching hundreds of thousands of people live, face-to-face, because we have a great product and people will believe upon it. It's awesome advice that helps anyone. It helps any aspect of your life, because the skills you learn in your dating life will enhance any aspect of your life. But in order for people to follow you, to be like a leader, you got to have that right stand of leadership. I mean, I spent the last hour before talking to my business partner, just about how to improve my style of leadership and whether there's any flaws in my mistake in terms of like how I'm interacting, communicating with other people. Yeah. I mean, we'll invest tons of money in terms of how to communicate our message to other people in a more powerful way that builds those bridges and gaps. So every 6 months we'll have this event called the Summit. So one of the things that we did was we brought this group called Crucial Conversations. It's a group whose goal is to try to make the world a better place in terms of how they communicate. And a crucial conversation is a conversation that has three elements. One is there's high stakes. Two is differing opinions. And three is very, very powerful emotions. And in those situations, a lot of people will just send emails or try to avoid the situation. But learning how to do it face-to-face and communicating your message and listening, seeking first to understand before being understood, and then conveying your message in a powerful way to unite your vision and mission and powerfully move things forward. I think that's super important, because you're talking about higher purpose. Well, in order to get higher purpose, you have to align everyone on the same page. So, I went through this EOYPO event. It was a safari to Africa. One of the people we had dinner with was the president of South Africa. He was the former president of South Africa, J.W. de Klerk. He was the white president that ended apartheid in a country that supported apartheid. He had a lot of people that were fighting the removal of it. So what he did is he did something that was almost virtually impossible. I just had read Nelson Mandela's autobiography. So I asked him a question. I said, how are you able to get all these people that hate what you're doing to actually do what you want them to do? So he said, well, the first thing is I develop a very, very clear mission. And by having a mission that's so clear, so impactful, that mission and vision aligns and is kind of unified. And if everyone believes in unity, that your goal is righteous, is a goal something that we're fighting for, you put people on that page first, then everyone else will just make sure the cogs go into place and it just aligns. But you first have to develop that at the top first. So I got very lucky. I have a business partner, and we were like 50-50 partners. And this business partner, he's amazing. His name is Tyler, and he developed this chairman of the board relationship, which is the concept that you're, as a chairman of the board, developing a goal and vision 5 and 10 years in the future that we all supposed to follow. I'm the president and CEO of the company. My goal as a CEO and a president of a company is just to make sure that that vision is actualized. Yeah. That I take everything and move everything to the right place. And the same thing goes from the top down, all the way through to your customer base, because your customer base, they're the people that they need to believe in your mission, because they're the ones who are funding everything. Yeah. So you developed this massive company here. And all of it had to do with having such a close relationship with our customers that no one is even hired into our company unless you're a customer first. Yeah. And in fact, the people that are customers will be one of our thousands of volunteers. We have over 1,000 volunteers work for us in our weekend programs, so volunteer. And these people will enter for 6 months to 18 months for free. They'll
Wow.
move into a house. Like we have these houses all over Las Vegas, these like large houses. Like maybe there'll be like 6 to 8 bedrooms in each house,
Wow.
or maybe they'll be in these condos. We used to have these 33 condos. We used to have a hotel we used to rent, and we would lease out the rooms to people. But we'd have these people. They'd volunteer
Amazing.
their time. They would pay rent. They'd get part of a program. We have a program out here called Vegas Immersion that people could be a student and they could go out to the bars and clubs, the wingman teams, and people will volunteer and be a part of this. And then after maybe they work for 6 to 12 months, they had a great experience, they learned a lot, or they would be then put on payroll. Then people who put in payroll, they work their way up. But every single job in my company, from even just the job of like cleaning one of these rooms in one of these places we've rented, to maybe the higher level stuff, maybe doing the IT and the website development, or building the sales systems, the funnels, or doing the marketing, or even the teaching itself. Every single job I've done myself. I
Yeah.
wanted to basically understand the jobs. Now, not everyone could do that. I mean, I think a lot of people advocate against that kind of style. That's just how I did. My father was a successful business person, but he always used to say, Nick, stop being the jack of all trades and master of none. I said, look, Dad, I can master more than one thing. I've mastered
Yeah.
you know.
I'm with
So
you. And you know what? And that's a great point though too. So there's so many cliche statements out there that are totally debunked. Like that, for instance. Look at you. You're lit up, you're happy, you're joyful, you're producing results, and you're great at a lot of things. So this master of all trades things doesn't lead to, this thing called success. Well, define success. You're living your dream, you're passionate about it, you're doing well financially for yourself, right? And you've got all of these amazing skills and talents. So,
Well, let's talk about utter debunking. So, I mean, another one that you'll hear all the time, and I love Bill Walsh and all these other gurus that say these things all the time, is that you're the average of the 5 people you're surrounding yourself with. Now, I believe that what he's trying to convey is that a mastermind will allow you to take yourself to the next level. But if I look at the 5 people I surround myself with, I don't know if I'm the average of them. I think I'm more individual. I think that even growing up, building my company, the 5 people I surround myself with the most were the people that I hired to be my interns and my sales staff. And I'm
yes.
leading them, and I can't be the average of them. I have to rise them up. I have to
Yeah.
rise people up above and elevate. So I'll try to surround myself with people that I could help more than people that could help me.
Yeah.
And I believe that eventually rises my consciousness up to a higher level. Now, of course, I surround myself with very, very high level people. I mean, if you look at my interviews, I'm surrounding myself with millionaire and billionaire CEOs, best-selling authors, YouTube celebrities, and people that have a lot of influence.
But you're not like hanging out their house, like sleeping in their beds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Tony for example. He's
Right.
a good friend of mine. I've known him for well over a decade, and he's somebody who I moved to Vegas mostly because of his influence and inspiration of what he's doing, and so I can move down to Vegas mostly because of him. And now I go to his place. He recreated a trailer park in downtown Vegas, 30 trailers. He treats it like a 30-bedroom house. He lives there in an Airstream. There's like a bed in it, a table, and a stove. And that's it. And the people who come to these parties that he has, like every other week, he has these parties at his place. He calls it Llamaopolis because there's roaming llamas that roam around everywhere. But they're just normal people, just average people. Maybe they're local business owners. Maybe they're just good, nice people. But these are the people that maybe are more into art. Maybe they're fun to hang out with and what have you. And of course, you maybe have successful business owners. Maybe Elon Musk will stop by, or famous performers like Lindsey Sterling or Snoop Dogg. But the thing is, most of the people there are just average people. Most of the people I hang out with are average people. Maybe they'll be involved with video games, because some of the advisors that I've had for my company is like Rob Parter, the creator of Warcraft. And he gave me all these video games. I got addicted to them. But I love video games. I loved them since I was a kid. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of the people I hang out with maybe are video game team owners, maybe professional video game team players. I'm definitely not the average of them. But other cliches I'll hear about is that about college education. Now, the funny thing is, it's the exact opposite in our generation has been happening. I hear the exact opposite. I always hear that I grew up hearing you have to get a college education in order to get success in life. Now I'm hearing the exact opposite from everyone. Like, don't get a college education, learn from the field and work experience. And I believe in both. I believe in work experience. I believe that you'll learn more from the work and from the field, and even from mass makers and people who are actually in the field than you will from school. But at the same time, I'm hardcore in formal education. Yeah. I'm still in school now. I mean, I'm studying at Harvard right now. I'm doing a master's in Nielsen.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Good
I've
for
been
you.
doing 2 MBA programs. I did my undergrad at Wisconsin, did MBA programs at USC and LMU.
You're just
And
a sponge for knowledge. You just love
yeah, I
it.
love
Look at
knowledge. I
you and
love
all
learning.
of your books. I mean,
Well, I believe that continuing education is super important. And the funny thing is, you see all these books behind me, but I learn more from real world situations.
Of course,
you know,
yeah.
I'll skim super fast through books and try to get a picture of it.
Yeah.
And if I like some of the stuff that I read, I want to meet these people and just talk to them about it, what it is all about. And I feel like it's a more quick and effective way. I don't like the Cliff Notes things because I don't really get the value that I want in general.
Yeah.
So I like interviewing people not because I'm a journalist. I like interviewing people because I believe that they could offer insights to where my time.
Yes.
You know, so I think that's what makes me different. You know, I think that's what makes you different. And also,
Yes.
you'll interview people about those things that you're passionate about, as opposed to a journalist who maybe having a slight agenda to add some entertainment and spike up the mainstream public. That's also why I believe that the mainstream media is not going to be the powerful organizations in the future. People are going to align and click and develop relationships with people like yourself.
Yeah.
And they're going to look at us and they're going to say, I relate to this person. What he's interested in, I'm interested in. And so the way he asks questions is going to be more defining and more valuable for me.
Yeah.
And that's why you look at, I don't know anyone who subscribes to a newspaper anymore. I don't know people that even have DVDs. Everything's just changing so fast.
Yeah.
I was hanging out with one of my old friends, Tucker Max, and he believes that the future, everyone, no matter what your job is, your main role and responsibility is going to be develop relationships with other people.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be super important and powerful in the way of
100%.
technology changing everything into the next generation. You know?
Yeah, and there's and I really emphasize a lot on like having leadership like skills, communication skills, like really being able to learn how to communicate with people. And that's something that I so like practice all the time is my listening, being present with people. You are so present. You're just laser, right? You're just so here in the conversation. You've got so much value to give people, so much energy you bring to the conversation, and it's so great. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, with the power of social media, people like you and I can now reach a global population.
Yes,
We have millions of people following us online. We couldn't do that back in the day. Back in the day, unless you own the technology, and these are people that are building the business, aren't necessarily the people that are sharing the value. And so basically, that's why I think businessmen back in the day, I mean, not that far back, but basically a lot of engineers and business people, always throughout my college career, always had this like headbutting because the engineers were like, we're building technology and value, and business people were so much about building the systems, and we're focused on building the value. Now you get to take advantage of both because technology is so cheap and so accessible.
Yeah.
So as you look at guys who are really popular, guys who all follow, is guys who I know from the Summit series like Gary Vaynerchuk. Now he developed a massive presence. I remember I was hanging out with him in Aspen, and he was working on Wine Library, and he was talking about how he's developing his brand solely through like his personality. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I don't know how this far is going to take him. It took him to the point where his company back then was doing $1 million a year. Now it's doing over 70, and now he's focused on how social media is changing the world. So you look at guys who are really smart, intelligent, who kind of influence and develop marketing from the very beginning, like Jay Abraham.
Yeah.
Now I'll ask a lot of people, who knows this guy? The guy who was able to sell millions of copies of books.
Yeah.
He sold his book for $800.
Right.
And now you look at guys who will say, hey, who is this guy? And we were hanging out with him in LA.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people won't even know who he is because the next generation is focused now on who's the popular people who are having the influence on social media, have a charismatic personality, who have the following they developed by engaging and offering a lot of value. And if you can do that, you're going to suck people into who you are, and you're going to get more captivation. You know,
absolutely.
I think that's also why you look at the way entertainment's taking things. Not just because people want to have fun. People want to have fun, but it captivates the mind spirit. So the typical boring lectures you have in college, a lot of people want to follow them. That's also why I've been making music. You know, I've been making rap videos to educate people. I've been making 3D videos. We were trying to like bring in more entertainment into our live events. Like we're doing crowd surfing. So we're doing all these crazy things because in order to captivate the mind now, this world, this digital world where entertainment is so high level. I mean, yesterday I was just playing with the PlayStation 4 VR. I mean, even just like a year or two ago, I had to do this thing where it was called Oculus, where you had like 5 to 15 minutes where the thing was like overheating. Now, yesterday I was Batman, and I was, moving my arms around, punching and throwing batarangs at people. And my wife came up to me and tapped me, and I was freaking out because I realized that I was not in that world. I was like in the real world, but I was surrounded by virtual reality. It's that kind of generation that we're living in.
Yeah.
So I believe that also another thing I want to do in the future is to take education into what we call field experience. So one of the things I was talking about earlier is how you could go covertly into an organization or real estate agents and be undercover people. And we've been doing that through videos in terms of picking up girls.
Yeah.
I also believe that we could take that into the future where now we have three-dimensional cameras that are able to actually be you, like the point of view, like you're walking through dimensions. And we can do this in the business world. So I want to do is go into businesses, infiltrate them, allow my friends to let me into their businesses and then share the experience, the inner workings of the business as if you're actually there.
That's awesome.
Life. Surround yourself with it in real life. So I've been doing that through some tours. I'm releasing them soon. But
it's amazing.
Well, one of the guys I did it was the Entrepreneur Magazine, Entrepreneur of the Year, Torn Pavia. He's developed this amazing company. He did a couple $100 million in sales. And one of the things that he likes to do is just try to find out where his family wants value the most. So, I mean, one of the things is his family wanted to meet a president. They're like, his daughter's like, hey, can I meet the president, Dad? And that was what you want.
What a cool thing to do. Like, how many people say, hey, family, like, what's important to you? What do you value? And let's go make it happen. Not a lot of people sit down and actually take the time to have those conversations. That's really cool.
Well, yeah, I believe that family is definitely the most important thing. Even when I was living in the East Coast, I lived there for many, many years. Every single month, I'd fly back to Sacramento to visit my parents. And even when I was dating my wife, we weren't even married yet, we'd fly back every month to visit her parents in Utah, in Salt Lake City. Because I believe that connection is super important because they're the people that are with you the most. I mean, a lot of the values I have are kind of extreme.
Oh, I love it.
It has to do with movies. I think that I watch so many TV shows and movies, I'm inspired by them a lot. So, I mean, some of the things that will be controversially extreme would be my fan of all movies that relate to, say, The Godfather or The Mafia, where they develop these, say, broness with everyone. And you just try to have loyalty above everything else. And you try to develop a relationship of trust. Now, I'm not trying to do criminal activity. I'm trying to build successful businesses that value people. But I love the concept of developing families outside of your life so that everyone is part of your family first and foremost. I also love the concept that when people are doing you right, you do them right in a very big way, and that you have this structure of how to maintain that, and also the family bonds through blood.
Oh, I love that, and have a structure on how to maintain that. Can you give me an example of like a structure that you use to maintain that?
Absolutely. So in my life, in terms of like RSD, everyone is like a bro. So, I mean, in terms of everything, I mean, I usually call people bro more than I call them by their name.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro. Hey, bro.
But I think it's not just a G-Funk thing. It's because I try to view everyone as like a part of our brotherhood more than anything else. So when we developed this company, I hated the fact when people were calling me boss. We wanted to build a flatline infrastructure. An infrastructure where everyone was part of a team and they had roles and responsibilities and duties and things and expenses and goals. But they didn't have, say, the formal job titles. And we have that now because we're just such a different kind of company. We're like a larger company, and now things are changing. And not everyone comes from that initial mentality. A lot of the people that are part of my company now, they just believe in our goals and vision and mission. And we try to get them on the core values, but we're not going to terminate somebody just because they don't have the core values if they could execute on a very powerful level. But I spend my time and my working relationships directly working with those people who I believe have the same core values as me. And if you don't have that, I'm going to isolate you within my company and my life in general. If you don't have that same positive mindset, and if you're too negative, you're focusing on if you don't have the right kind of energy I want to be around, you don't vibe the right way, you could still potentially work for me, but your life and your career will be not with me. It might be with a different team, people that are willing to work with you. Yeah. I think that's super important because I think that from the very beginning, I think that even like a marriage or relationship in terms of dating, a lot of it has to do first and foremost on your relationships in terms of what your core values and beliefs are. I'm lucky to have my business partner, which is kind of like a marriage also.
Oh, 100%.
We have the core values and beliefs.
Yeah, most definitely. Wow, I feel like you have seriously so much knowledge to give to people. It's incredible. I mean, it really is. I mean, your experience, you're just submersing yourself in all these masterminds and around all these brilliant minds. I mean, you obviously through osmosis, through that whole process, you gain that level of knowledge and wisdom by just associating yourself with those people that you have. So that just goes to speak volumes. I love your whole concept on value. One thing that I do want to point to, Nick, and I don't know if you align with this, is creating businesses that we're looking at how it's going to impact the world, not just today, not just next year, but I'm talking 10, 20, 100 years from now. How are we impacting the planet? Because of course, people adding value and taking care of people for sure. How are we impacting the planet? Because that is so important. Are we using as green technology as possible? Are we really trying to be innovative as possible to really service this planet and the future generations to come?
Well, this morning I just finished watching this documentary by Leonardo DiCaprio that was just about that. It's an amazing show that you could buy in iTunes, and he was talking about how he traveled around the world and studied global warming, and he met with people. He was like the designee to the United Nations to try to help change the viewpoint of how people could be utilizing how they build and manufacture in industries that will not pollute the world so much. Now, I had in USC, one of my MBA professors was the president of Ford. And he was saying at the time, a lot of people weren't developing the kind of technology to build cars as electric cars because the process of building the car caused more pollution than the cars that make gas. But that's not the case anymore. Now it's not about hybrids. You have companies like Tesla. Now, I drive a Tesla. I have a Model S. It's awesome. It's faster than probably any other car out there. So,
I love it. And they look they're awesome looking.
Yeah.
They're really sexy cars for sure.
But I think that the idea and concept of philanthropy is find those causes that you care about the most and support them. I mean, one of the things that we did was we did a campaign for, say, Following Whistles. And they're a campaign where we got people free value, free content. We do that all the time, but we wanted to say, hey, if you give some money, and we'll give you extra free content, and we'll give you some money, and you get a whistle. And so the concept of these whistles is that John Paul DeJoria and these kids were out in Africa, and they came upon these kids that were locked up in cages, and they let them go. And they were at the United Nations, and they asked the kids what they were doing with these whistles around their neck, and they were going out there because they're too young, too small, with these children soldiers, and they blow the whistles to give away their positions so that when enemies fires, they shoot and kill the kids. And now the warlord that was doing this to kids is out of power. But companies that were supporting these things, now what they're trying to do is support organizations to kind of rehabilitate, re-educate, and give these guys who didn't really have an education growing up, they have a really different way of thinking, a chance to have access to the internet, get training, and develop life. Now, some of the organizations I'm passionate about, also those organizations that have affected my life personally. Everyone's had some issues in their life that didn't work out the way you wanted to. And you'll meet people that have issues that you don't like. So, I mean, one of the things that I had is I support organizations that are helping kittens get healthy because a lot of bad breeders are out there.
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone has to find a passion that affects them on an emotional level so they can get passionate about it.
Yeah.
Because there's a way to do it. I think also a lot of people don't realize that business can be a social entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't until recently, I think, that universities even offered classes on social entrepreneurship in general.
Yeah.
One of the things they do now, if you're in an MBA program and you take a social entrepreneurship class like I did, is that you'll actually go into organizations that don't have a lot of funding. So one of the things I did was I went to the Lily Claire Foundation. I acted as a member of their board of advisors. And they have a team of 20 MBAs trying to advise the CEO of how he could organize cool galas and events and parties to raise more money for their cause, or how to restructure their real estate, add more optimization of how their offices needs are supposed to be met. But I think that the concept out there is it's also a great way to have fun. I think this is just stuff you have really a lot of fun with. I mean, I was an Eagle Scout, so I've spent close to 1,000 hours volunteering my time on various projects. Yeah. But a lot of people out there haven't yet done that. So I mean, if you just volunteer to your local soup kitchen or get involved with any kind of help, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, there's so many resources out there just to help people in general, even just for any kind of thing in general. I mean, and for law services, some people can't afford attorneys, but there's like arbitration services for anyone in disputes less than $50,000 for free to resolve all your needs.
Yeah.
But there's so many services out there, but people just haven't marketed successfully. So I think a lot of people can just help market these companies successfully, do it for fun. And by doing that, you also learn some business skills yourself. I know that myself from helping organizations learn how to improve what they were doing. I learned the process of how to be a management consultant, how to advise people better in general. And that led to me being able to advise and lead my team in general. So I think that there's always cross-functionality in pretty much every aspect of leadership that you could possibly do. So that's why I've always wanted to try to get involved, even from the small level ground up. even just from like private personal organizations, even just hosting regular monthly dinner parties and inviting local business leaders to meet with each other, network, or me doing it on a personal level for fun.
Yeah.
I think that's just
I love you use the word fun a lot, and I think that that's so important for people to realize and get out of that survival mentality of
Yeah.
I need to make a bunch of money in order to, because anything in order to is survival, right? It's like in order to pay bills, in order to have food, and that creates such a lack of fulfillment in people's lives. So I just love that you keep pointing to do what's fun that lights you up, and you can monetize it and make money.
Yeah,
You know?
I think that it comes down to Maslow's hierarchy and needs. And a lot of people in survival mode. I mean,
Yeah.
I had a part in the recession where we were not only on Inc. magazine's, they're at the Inc. 500 list. I think we were rated like 86 based out of California, companies that were the fastest growing companies in America. And at the same time, I was $600,000 in debt, losing $6,000 a day, and not knowing how to get myself out of this mass amount of debt. That's why I organized a world tour. I actually didn't know what to do. So one day I just looked at our website traffic, and I was like, well, we have millions of people following us. And I was on an airplane. I looked at this map, and I said, you know what? This is American Airlines. This is United Airlines. This is Delta Airlines. So I was doing a multi-trip. So I was going and I saw these different maps. I ripped out the maps of these different airline magazines. And I said, American businessmen are flying to these cities. So I bet that I could build markets in these cities just by going there, because I always all these people flying there. There must be people that speak English, because these are Americans. I mean, not like every American can speak all these different languages.
Yeah.
So I just took all the cities that were on all these maps, just put dates next to it, organized it by 30-day regions, and then just did this free tour.
Wow.
Still, I could do it and have fun. But at the same time, I was under massive amounts of stress, so I had to work hard. So I mean, it's not like you have to have that hustler mentality, that work ethic. Yeah. So I mean, sometimes you have to push yourself to the limit. I mean, my first few years of startup phase, I mean, most startups go out of business. So I mean, when I was doing a startup phase, I didn't have time to take off my shoes. I would go to work on the computer. I'd be like, oh, I'm tired. Lie down, sew my clothes and my shoes, get back up, back to the computer, start making phone calls, continuing. Yeah. And this sometimes you got to do that. That's not necessarily fun. You can be very angry. I had many angry years, and even throughout my career, there'll be massive turning points of massive issues that I have to deal with on a whole new level. Because if you're a growing company, you're starting from ground zero all the way up, each of those different stages, your issues are going to get bigger, but you'll be able to handle it better because you have more life experience. So that toughness, you have to push through, that hard work ethic more than anything else. Yeah, you don't always enjoy it, but you can control your emotions. I mean, a lot of people will disagree with that, but Stephen Covey, he wrote this book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the concept behind that is that instead of being work-centered or being, say, money-centered or family-centered or a center of any other kind, you're just centered on your core principles. And so my core principles was that no matter what happens, I never give up. Now, of course, I'm thinking strategically as well. I mean, if I'm in a situation where it's no win, I need to think differently outside the box and stop one path and go down another.
Yeah.
But I always had that as a core principle. The core principle was the loyalty and bonds and trust I wanted to have in my relationships, in my family, my friends, my business. And I wanted to have that with not just people I work with my customers. And I wanted to also make sure I'm offering value to the world and giving back to society. But I had to have core values. Now, if you have those beliefs, no matter what kind of emotional stress and drain, you could choose not to let it stress you out and destroy you. I mean, sometimes you just want to take a break and go play golf or spend times with your loved ones. And that's super important. Taking time every single week just to do that has been something that was really important to me. But the time and the management of the time to do that requires a lot of delegation. I mean, I remember that there's a guy who became super famous. I think his name is Sullivan, and he created this company called Strategic Coach. And the concept upon that is that every single person on the planet should take off, I think, like 120 days out of the year. And everyone's like, wow, that's amazing.
It's like revolutionary to think that way, but that's really, in my opinion, that's the way that human beings are designed. We're not designed to work this much. We're really not.
But the thing is, most of the world does that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're not designed to work this much.
Because if you look at most of the world, most people are not entrepreneurs. They work for someone else. So what is 120 days? All that is you taking off Saturday, Sunday, the weekends, and holidays. That's it. So almost everyone in the world already does that.
Wow.
But now entrepreneurs don't always do that. They don't
always
follow that advice. No. But at the same time, I think a lot of people think they're working, but they're just thinking about work. They're what they call strategies. They're not doing the execution.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for every hour you have in that strategy, you should be executing on something.
Yeah.
So if you come up with an idea, the best way to learn something is maybe you read about something, then you just execute it right away, try it right away. That's how I learn almost anything successfully, quickly
Yeah.
at least. That's what you got to do. Whether it's your communication skills, whether it's your business building skills, or a certain marketing tactic, or a business financial move, it's always going to be about that. The learning that references of experience. So your inner game and your outer game go hand in hand. Your belief systems and your outer game and your actions go hand in hand, as opposed to one being too far and the other one lacking.
Amazing. So amazing. Oh my gosh, we could go on forever. I know we could. We're almost to an hour here, but thank you. I just want to, first of all, thank you for your time and for your value and for participating in this, because you're such a great guy, and I cannot wait to do things with you in the future. And you're giving away a free gift. So do you want to share with the viewers what you're giving away?
Absolutely. So two of the gifts I'm giving away. One of them is a strategy session with one of my mentors. He goes by the nickname Mr. Game Theory because he has a private life. He's also a very, very successful investment man. He's like a very big guy in the finance world. So he wanted to have the nickname Mr. Game Theory because what he did is he interviewed tens of thousands of professors, and he created a theory about life. And basically he created an idea that life is fair and how he could view that. I don't necessarily believe that's necessarily true, but the belief that life could be fair on an emotional level, where if you look at the statistics and the theory of how much pain you have in life and what you could do to equalize and how you should view life, he created this. And I believe that, like, if you're trying to develop a mindset and you have hope, you have difficult times, you want to have hope. I thought this was a good book for that. And then the other and I basically I did an interview. I did a video interview, so I'll share that with you guys as well.
Amazing.
And then I also have a video that I want to share, which was a keynote speech I gave at a business summit. I was the keynote speaker at the World Speaker Summit in London several years ago.
Beautiful.
And I gave a speech about how I built my company and the lessons I learned from it for people that want to get more into public speaking or develop a business that is kind of similar in terms of like wanting to have a lot of people working for you. You want to have a large amount of your time spent public speaking. And I thought it was a really cool, interesting story, because whether you want to do that or not, I think all entrepreneurs, I think that's the whole reason why the groups like the Entrepreneurs Organization or Young Presidents Organization exists as the largest entrepreneur organizations on the planet. It's because every entrepreneur can relate to any other entrepreneur regardless of industry, because we all share the very, very similar lessons and struggles.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. And thank you so much. And make sure you click the links below. We'll put the information right below so you can get access to the free gifts. Nick, thank you so much. Appreciate you for just taking your time to be here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, Livy. This is awesome.
All right, guys, take care. We've got some great experts on the way to you, so stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Cheers.